Hello everyone, hope you are doing good. So from this video we are going to talk about psychology of motivation. So let's get started. So to motivate in the most general sense of the term is to set in motion. In psychology, the term motivation is often used to refer to the entire constellation of factors, some inside the organism and some outside, that cause an individual to behave in a particular way at a particular time. So motivation defined this way is a very broad concept, almost as broad as of all psychology. Also, genes, learning, physiological variables, perceptual and thought processes, developmental variables, social experiences, and personality characteristics are all constructs that psychologists describe as contributors to motivation. So we can define motivation as a general desire, need, or want that generates the energy required for someone to behave in a way. This means that there's actually a motive behind action, which is really an impulse that will trigger the motivational cognitive process, which will lead an individual or an animal for that matter, or to act on that impulse. So the study of motivation is the study of all those pushes and products, which means biological and psychological, that defeat our laziness and moves us either reluctantly or eagerly to the action. So motivation comes from the Latin word for move, movere. And then moving on, motivation is twofold: intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. So first let's see about intrinsic motivation. So intrinsic motivation represents all the things that motivate you based on internal rewards like self-improvement or helping a friend in need. For example, you may be motivated to get a promotion because you learn valuable skills. However, intrinsic motivation can also have negative drives. For example, you can motivate yourself to learn new things because otherwise you feel unfulfilled. So because you feel unfulfilled only, you motivate yourself, not because you really want to learn a new thing. And then we have extrinsic motivation, which represents all the things that motivate you based on external like money or praise. These type of motivation are more common than intrinsic motivators and include achieving things due to a tangible incentive, fear, or expectation, all of which depend on external factors. For example, people want to get a promotion because of the expected raise. Also, extrinsic motivation can sometimes be negative. For example, you can be motivated to perform better at your job due to fear of being fired. So now we are going to look at theories of motivation. We have three types of theories: biological perspective, cognitive perspective, and socio-cognitive perspective. So on the biological perspective, we have three theories. First we have instinct theory, drive theory, and optimal arousal theory. Now we'll talk about each and every theory in detail. So first we are going to talk about instinct theory. So instinct theory suggests that people are motivated to act in certain ways by their instinct. Instinct means patterns of behavior. So for example, baby crying and desire to park on our genes. So we don't teach a child to cry, right? So child cries instinctively. And the other thing is desire to pass on our genes. It happens unconsciously. So it comes under instinct theory. Then we have drive theory. So drive theory is based on body's homeostasis, which means the natural tendency to keep the body in a state of equilibrium. So this is actually a cycle. First we have lack of homeostasis, and then you get the need, and then you get the drive, then you have the motivation to act, then again homeostasis. So for example, when you are feeling peckish, you get the need as hunger, and the drive is starving, so you eat food and then you become full. So another example, when you feel fidgety and the need will become restless, so drive is so frustrating, and motivation, as a motivation you go for a run and then you feel satisfied. And then we have optimal arousal theory. Optimal arousal theory says that people are motivated to act in ways that keep them at their optimal levels of arousal. So these optimal levels of arousal is different from person to person. So under cognitive perspective, we have four theories: incentive theory, expectancy theory, self-efficacy, and attribution theory. So we'll first talk about incentive theory. So intensive theory suggests that individuals are attracted to behaviors that offer positive incentive and discourage from those behaviors they associate with negative outcomes. So the value of an incentive is influenced by cognitive and biological factors, for example, taking drugs. Then we have expectancy theory, which suggests that how will you do if you engage in certain behavior, which means if we expect to do well, then we will be more likely to engage in that behavior. And on the other hand, if we feel that the chance of succeeding is poor, we will be less likely to be involved. So there are two kinds of expectancy beliefs. First one is outcome expectation and the other one is efficacy expectation. Outcome expectations believe that certain behaviors will lead to certain outcomes, and efficacy expectations believes about whether one can effectively perform the behavior necessary to produce the outcome. So under expectancy theory, we have another sub-theory, cognitive X-value theory. X stands for expectancy. So this is the equation BP equals F into ERV. BP stands for behavior potential, F stands for frequency, E stands for expectancy of reinforcement, and RV stands for reinforcement value. Then we have self-efficacy theory. Self-efficacy theory was brought by Albert Bandura. He says a person can do something to the extent which he believes. So one's judgment of one's effectiveness in dealing with situations determine one's behavior. So if you meet these standards, you enhance self-efficacy, and if you fail to meet standards, it reduces self-efficacy. And then we have attribution theory. It says every individual tries to explain success or failure of self on others by offering certain attributes. So under attribution theory, there comes locus of control. So we'll see what is locus. Locus of control means a person's perception about the extent to which he controls what happens. So there are two types, external locus of control and internal locus of control. External locus of control believes that external forces beyond their control determine your actions. So, external locus of control leads to learned helplessness, which means a sense of helplessness in which one thinks that he is unable to prevent unpleasant events. And internal locus of control believes that what happens to you is a result of your own actions and attributes. So, internal locus of control lead to depression. Then, under socio-cognitive perspective, we have goal theory. Goal theory suggests that all actions are given meaning and purpose by the goals that individuals seek. These are some goals that they mention: mastery goals, performance goals, social goals, ego involved goals, and task involved goals. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. If you need any help regarding notes and more facts, please do contact me via cascade.psychology@gmail.com. Watch my next video on developmental psychology.